All right, good evening, guys. Happy New Year. Most of you took 3342 with me last year, right? Anyone who didn't? Oh, don't worry, you are also welcome. I'm just saying hi to my old friends. Yeah, for them, I saw them mostly online, but only the exam, I saw them in person. It was kind of unpleasant, right? How was the exam? Was it okay? Wow, I shouldn't ask. Ugh. Yeah, but you guys will be fine this term. Anyway, so welcome to the course. Today, I just want to do some quick walkthrough on the syllabus to tell you guys what you really know. What you're supposed to know about the course, how it's going to run. There will be actually 3 bonus opportunities for you guys. So I'll talk about them for sure. And then if time permitted, I'm pretty sure we do some introduction about the course. And we'll cover the more technical stuff, either the second part of Thursday or maybe next Tuesday. That's what we'll do. And guys, I know it's a kind of embarrassing time to have a lecture. If you want to have dinner, okay. Feel free. No problem for me. It doesn't bother me. All right. For those of you who don't know me, Jackie, most preferred. If you want to call me Professor Jackie, no problem. Whatever you like. And if you need any advice on the course, let me know. Since now we are resumed back in in-person learning. So speak to me whenever you want to. And so there will be 3 bonus opportunities for you guys. Let me briefly mention them. Around the reading week, I'm going to send some e-class survey. Oh, actually, I think you guys did it last year. So I'm going to let you guys tell me anonymously how I did for the course and anything we can improve to implement, and then we'll see how that goes. If the response rate is high enough, you definitely get some bonus. Number 1. Number 2, the final course evaluation as well. So we'll see how that goes. And number 3, which is kind of new to you guys. So I tried that to 2030 and 4302, the other 2 courses last time. I quite like it. So I'm going to take some attendance for you guys by using an app called iClicker. Not too sure if you used it before. So I'm going to walk through the scheme with you together, but you can get up to 5% bonus for the course. It's 1 letter grade. I really hope that it's going to help. All right? We'll see. And then, suggest to me anything you want to improve, anything, let me know, and then we'll talk about it. If you are not enrolled yet for the course, so please send me your name, student number, passport, York ID, and then I will add you to the e-class. And for your information, for this week, there's no lab for this week, okay? But starting from next week, we're going to have your lab 1. So there will be 4 labs in total. The schedule has been set on the syllabus calendar. I'll talk about it. But just for this week, no lab. And then, keep up with all the study materials if you're not officially enrolled yet. But just make sure, no extension, and etc. For the mask, I'll leave it to you guys to decide. Don't need to say much. But if you come to my office hour, so I'll be very grateful if you wear a mask, please. Okay? Other than that, we are fine. And class protocol, I think you guys were very excited before the class, but now you're suddenly, so quiet, which is good. Anyway, so don't need to say. I'm pretty sure you guys will be fine. And the slides are very self-contained. I think if you took an online course with me, I think the style will be pretty much the same. But now, since we are seeing each other face-to-face, I can answer your question. So we can definitely adjust the pace according to your understanding. Interrupt me whenever you want to, since you already make your way to the class. And, ask questions anytime you like. Right, email to me. So just for your information, I'm very informal. Just don't be rude, please, on the email. Otherwise, you'll be okay. Course information. So there will be 2 sites you will have to monitor, at least, maybe I'll suggest on a regular basis, maybe on a daily basis at least. And there will be 1 e-class site, which I'm pretty sure you got access to if you already received my announcement. Let me click on that and show you what we have got so far. Nothing much, but you got a course announcement section there. I think some student told me they might sometimes miss the message, maybe from the e-class announcement. So I would suggest maybe check daily, just in case you miss any important information. But I'll mention in the class anyway. And this is a link to the second site about all the lecture materials, lecture recordings, and etc. We'll talk about it. For now, there's nothing here, but later on, I'm going to add things like maybe your lab instruction for sure, starting from next week. And then there might be some example question I can give to you guys for both the programming test and also the written test. I'll talk about them in just a moment. Okay, but you can expect more to come. Okay, back here, an announcement, labs, written tests, and etc. And the exam is going to be like last year. It's going to be in person and scheduled by the registrar office. Okay, just in person. Okay, require study material. There'll be no textbook. Okay, no textbook. But the topic we're going to cover is something called model checking. Maybe you have already seen that from the course description. So there are many model checking textbooks. You can find any one of them if you actually want to maybe have some extra explanation or extra examples. You can feel free. That's not a problem. But otherwise, you can just focus on the slides I make or any exercises I assign, and also the lab tutorial videos. I think we're going to try to combine both the labs and also the class example together. So that will be covered by your exam. And before I go over the course syllabus, any question? You okay? Yes, please. Good question here. I think there will be 2 books which I'm going to use to base my slides on. I will, you know what? How about this? Let me make sure I haven't really put it on the syllabus yet. I'll make sure I put it on the reference book list. I'll do that for sure. Yes. And the course syllabus, yeah, let's go over that. And you guys might have more questions. Okay, let's clarify them as much as possible today. Oh, where can you find the syllabus? Let me show you. So if you remember the second slide over here, if you click on that, and you will see 4315. Otherwise, you can easily find it. Just Google my name, .u, and then you will find my homepage and go to the lectures. You will see that. Very easy to find. And you can see already we got one section here for course syllabus. The slides I'm presenting, weekly schedule, semester calendar, we go over them one by one. And all the materials will be put here. I would say I will usually, once I get home tonight, I'll try to start processing the video. When I wake up tomorrow, it should be done, and I'll upload it to YouTube. Hopefully by the end of tomorrow, you can see the recording. But if you already come to class, give yourself a break until I post the recording. And everything else will be here too. And for the office hour, so I'm going to offer certain hours. You can either come in person or you can just join the Zoom, either way. If you want to join the office hour by Zoom, you can just click on this link. That's all you can do, right, during the hour. Okay, let me now go over the course syllabus over here. And the way to download it, I forgot to mention, you can see here, course syllabus. If you click on that, you will see the complete copy. And just notice that it might be subject to some minor corrections or edits until 2 weeks later. That's according to university policy. If there's anything that's kind of different from what I say today, I'll let you know explicitly. But I don't see that's possible. Okay. Alrighty, let's look at the syllabus. Okay, course policy. Okay, so the first one here is really important, but rather than reading it over, I'm going to just tell you in principle, and then you can read the more precise wordings. For your lab assignments, in total, it will be 10% for all the labs. There'll be 4 labs, so 2.5% each. So here is the policy. Number 1, collaborating with your classmates, asking for solution hints from the TA, for myself, from anybody else, will be allowed. It's okay. Okay, so that means you can do whatever you like just to help you complete a lab assignment. Number 2, as long as you make your best attempt to submit before the submission deadline, you get the full marks automatically. Okay, so these are the 2 principles. So that means you can really easily get a 10% without worrying, stressing over too much. Maybe you're just a little busy on that week. That's okay, as long as you can catch up before we assess you about the material. So how do we assess you for the labs? We're going to have 2 programming tests. They will be scheduled in the Williams Small Center. I'll talk a little bit more about it. But in those 2 programming tests, we're going to test you what you're supposed to learn from the lab, from the 2 labs. So for programming test 1, it's going to test for lab 1 and lab 2. And then lab 3 and lab 4 will be tested by programming test 2, right? So that's about the lab. So once I release the lab number 1, your labs usually will be, I forgot. Anyway, I'll try to release them before your first lab. So you definitely got enough time to complete it. And we also make the TA available in the scheduled lab session. The scheduled labs will be completely optional, okay? You don't really have to go to the lab if you don't feel like. If you want to ask the TA questions or you want to ask myself questions as well, go to the lab session, okay? But just make sure you show up to the tests, okay? That's all we want. Okay, and of course, no collaboration for the scheduled tests. All the tests will be in person in the Williams Small Center. I'll confirm the exact venue later. And for plagiarism, it will only apply to the tests. For your lab assignments, there's no notion about plagiarism. You can actually, it definitely will be your least interest to copy somebody else's work because you're going to suffer later in the assessment, right? And for the deadline, you want to make sure in order for you to get the 2.5% for a single lab, you must submit before the submission deadline, right? That's a minimum you have to do. And that's about late enrollment, all right? Any question about the course policy so far? Okay. And by the way, the labs are going to be, I'm going to answer you. The labs are going to be using a new tool. We use the rodent tool in 3342. We're going to use another tool, which I'll give you more information about, called TLA+. In some way, it might be a more fun tool to use because you're going to write algorithm in a C-like programming language, and then you can model check it. That's the amazing part. Well, we're going to guide you through. Anyway, I'll take your question, please. Exactly. So that's something I'll talk about. So all your programming tests and written tests will take place during the lecture time. Not in the lecture room, but in the Williams Small Center. Yes. Yes. Sorry? The TLA+, it doesn't really use C. It's just a syntax that we're going to ask you to use. Looks like C. But the TLA+, but for your information, the TLA+ is imperfect. But that's something you wouldn't see. Good. All right. Okay, let me go further. All right, for office hour, if you want to speak to me, either in person or over Zoom, it will be 3:30 to 4:30 p.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If it really doesn't work for you, email me. We can make an appointment. That's not a problem. Okay. You can either visit my campus office or you can join by Zoom. I will definitely launch my Zoom meeting room around that time. But please just understand that if somebody else shows up to my office, I'll give them priority. But I'll definitely get to you by Zoom. And hilariously, our meeting room today is 106. On Thursday, it's going to be 105. I have no idea why. Please, you come to the right room. I'm not going to remember. So I'll just go to the room. If I don't see the right people, then I know I should be the other one. That's what I'm going to do. Please, you go to the right room, okay? Otherwise, we'll be very embarrassed. So we are now in the winter time. Let's hope not. We're going to have some very warm winter maybe. But just in case, we got very extreme weather, in which case, I'll let you know early in advance. In that case, we may have to cancel the class. And when we cancel the class, then we're going to do some live Zoom lecture instead. I don't think it's likely that I'm going to record some video. It might take more time from my end. So I just prefer maybe some Zoom lecture. But I'll definitely let you know maybe the early morning of that particular day, the latest, so you guys can know. Of course, if the university simply is closed, the class will be canceled. But sometimes maybe it will make it so difficult for everybody to commute. In that case, we can also cancel. Okay? All right, but very extreme. Don't assume it's going to come. Hopefully, we wouldn't have to get there. And for your scheduled lab, let me emphasize again. Number one, it will be optional. However, I want to put a star over here. So there will be only one exception. Okay? So we already scheduled the written test and programming test in the Williams Small Center. I already got confirmation from the computing manager in EECS. Wulia told me that it's already done. However, if they cancel the room reservation in the last minutes, in that way, we have to go for the test during your scheduled lab session. That's the only scenario. Very unlikely, but if that really happened, please understand. Okay? That's why I put a star over here. Okay? Except WSC rooms not available. But it's very unlikely to happen. Okay? And number two, if you do decide to go to the lab session, you can go to any one of them. We don't really take attendance. Attend any to ask questions. For sure, the TA will be there. I will try to be there as often as I can. If I'm not there, you can feel free to just drop by my office. Okay? Office hour, I meant. And we talk about an e-class site already. All right? And with the study material over here, and as a promise, I'll do that definitely by Thursday's class. I will add here some optional texts. Book. I'll make sure I do that by Thursday. Okay? And what about the available resources to help you? Definitely my office hour, or if you want to make appointments. And for the TA office hour, I want to try this just for this term to see how that works. So rather than having some fixed hour where the TA have to stay most likely idle in the Zoom or in the office, I'm thinking that if you guys sometimes have questions, let's say outside my office hour, you can just email the TA. The TA will try to respond to you as early as they can, and then you guys can work out some time to Zoom, maybe 10 minutes later, or as soon as they are available. So we'll try to see how that works. That can just make it more flexible for you guys. Maybe you have some last-minute question about the lab before the test. That's also fine. Depends on the TA's availability. And don't forget the TA themselves are also students, so they might be busy at some time. Okay. And for the scheduled lab, starting from week number 2, next week, there will be TA there to help you. But for your lab number 1, I can give you a little bit look ahead. I'm currently busy recording your lab number 1 video. I want to make sure it's nicely done. For your lab number 1, it's going to be about how to get access to your remote labs. I'm pretty sure you got access already. And also how you can launch the TLA Plus tool. And then have a little bit more feeling about it, how to get around, play with the tool. And then we're going to do some example. And do you guys remember the bridge controller? Oh, I can feel the excitement. You guys like it, right? Okay, don't worry, only the initial model, not the refinement, initial one. Okay. Okay, bridge controller. Just to illustrate some point, just for the first lab. I can tell you that I'm still finalizing the example with the TA. For lab number 2, 3, and 4, we'll definitely find some interesting algorithm for you guys to study. And also, we're going to choose some interesting algorithm, which might be simple already for you, back in 1021 or 2030, using loops. You can actually express that in a model checker and verify some interesting property. That kind of indicate to you, let's say you graduate from this course, how you can take this TLA toolbox and make it work for your own goal. It's an industrial strength tool. So what we do in the labs may still be considered like a toy example. It's unavoidable. We don't want to make it too difficult. But when you take it beyond the course, you can definitely make it complicated as you like. Okay. Anyway, that's about lab 1. Okay. And prerequisite, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it. I don't need to mention. And for the course description there, I just want to mention one thing here. So here we talk about 3342. And if you remember in 3342, we did lots of a sequence proof, right? It's so-called a theorem proving approach. I'll try to draw you guys some connection as we go through the lecture, especially after I have done some lab. But just remember, the theorem proving approach is really meant to be done in 3342, okay? And in this course, we're gonna take another way of doing things formally. It's called model checking, okay? And let me do a very informal sketch, just to clarify up at the front. I'll try to elaborate on this much more later. Okay, let's take a look. So I think in some way you guys are lucky because our program actually offers 2 full methods course, even though they're very challenging, but I think it's very good for your knowledge. So one very important take-home message from this term, since now you guys are graduating, so definitely you want to make sure this take-home message is well delivered. How do you compare theorem proving versus model checking? They are both formal. Let me give you some very quick intuitive notion. So we talk about theorem proving. Oh, yes. So guys, for in-person learning, there's one thing I tend to do often. Sometimes when I write on the iPad, I forgot to switch. You might still see the slides. In that case, interrupt me right away and shout at me, switch. All right? I tend to do that quite often. But now I'm okay. Theorem proving, which is what you did in 3342. Also, we got model checking. And that one is in 4315. Okay? Number one, it shouldn't really say which one is better. They have their strengths and also weaknesses. Okay? That's one thing to know. Let's think about this. For theorem proving, both of them, what's really in common? They're both so-called formal methods. Not informal, but absolutely formal. Okay? And that's really what they are in common. And then, theorem proving tends to be manual. Or sometimes semi-automated. Let me explain what I mean. When I say it is manual, that means you're going to do the sequence proof like what you did in the exam or in the written test. You got to write some proof step by step on the paper. Okay? Step by step. Via relevant. Do you remember inference rule? Right? We got many inference rule actually back in 3342. I know it's been a year. I'll try to remind you as much as possible. Relevant inference rule. Okay? By hands. That's why it's manual. And when we say semi-automated, okay, if you recall briefly about your lab number 2 in 3342, where I kind of had some very nice, well, not very nice, it's been outdated. I had some tutorial video to show to you how you can do proofs on some binary search algorithm. Okay, the way we did it was, if we want to prove this particular theorem, if we simply hit the prover, it's not going to prove it. However, we have to guide the prover by saying, okay, for this branch, I'm taking the first step by taking inference rule number 1, and then take inference rule number 2. And then here, when I hit the auto-prover, I will be able to auto-prove it. So I need some guidance for the prover. So semi-automated means human guidance, human intervention for the prover to complete. I know you guys haven't really taken EECS 2001, the theory of computation. That's okay. But you guys heard about something called undecidability, right? The problem being undecidable. Given an arbitrary theorem, and you want to simply prove that, whether it's a tautology or not, it's an undecidable problem. Okay, so that's why you simply cannot have a magic prover, which can always completely automate it to tell you whether a theorem will work and find a proof. Okay, that's just for your knowledge. But if you understand about manual semi-automated, that's good enough. Okay. Okay, what about model checking? Model checking, good for you, is completely automated. Okay, but that's the pros. It comes with a price, which I need to mention to you. So this one, model checking here, is completely automated. You wouldn't see any model checker that's less than 100% automated. However, there is a problem which I think I mentioned very briefly, maybe in the beginning weeks of 3342. Model checker suffers from the so-called state explosion problem. And let me pause a bit. Any one of you kind of remember what state explosion problem is? I'll take you first. Go ahead. Absolutely. Let's say if you got many integers, variables in your system, in that case, the combinatorial combination is going to explode. So you cannot really do the model checking. And think about what model check is really going to do. And I will show you how you can see such a diagram from TLA Plus once I release the video. Thinking this way. When I say automated, what does that mean? That means based on your specification, which you have to write in certain syntax. A graph is generated. Okay, I'll give you a very dummy example. Let's say there are only two possible actions or events that can happen in your system, either to increment or to decrement, let's say. Okay? So let's say here, if you have, let's say, counter value, which will be 0, and you may just increments, in which case C will be 1, right? Increment. Or you may just do decrements, in which case C will be decremented to -1. Okay? And then you can imagine how it's going to grow. So now here's the problem. In order to really model check a system with this, okay, if you simply say my counter value is simply just n, do you remember this symbol? I'll write a little bit better. Integers, okay, just in case, right? We'll try to review this as well for you, don't worry. If you simply put a C being an integer, and then you try to fit this particular model to say, I want to model check this counter here, and then you can either increment or decrement. And the model checker is never going to terminate. Because think about what's going to be the associated graph over here. Because C can just keep incrementing until you run out of memory, right? Also, you can also keep decrementing until you run out of memory. That's the very typical state explosion problem. Because the possible number of states is simply not going to be fit into your computer memory, which is bounded. So that's state explosion. However, if you take our 3342 approach, in that way, for increment and decrements, what you will do is you have to generate a corresponding proof obligation and then prove it. When you do the proofs, you have no concern about state explosion. So guys, let me make a recap over here, and then I think that's good enough just for today. I'll definitely revisit this point. I think being able to distinguish between theorem proving and model checking is a very important take-home message for you. Okay? Let me just make a recap. In the case of model checking, you need to know what the tool does is to build a state graph behind the scene. And then once the graph is built, provided that it's finite and can be fit into the computer memory, it's going to do some very systematic traversal on the graph to go node by node. Each node is a state. And then, for example, if you want to check some invariant property, the tool ought to check every state over here will satisfy that particular invariant property. Let's say if there is a particular state, let's say this one here, right away. This state here doesn't really satisfy the invariance. What the model checker will do is to give you a counter example trace, which is a very valuable debugging information. Okay? I'll also be included. Okay, over here, if property violated a witness or counter example trace is generated. And you can think about the trace is going to tell you, okay, starting from here, if we do increments, then we get to this particular state. That's problematic. And I will definitely show you that on lab number 1. It's a very valuable information. On the other hand, we don't really have this kind of state explosion problem to build graph in theorem proving. All we got to do is we generate the corresponding proof obligation, try to prove it. Either you prove it or you don't prove it. Sometimes when you are not able to prove it, it doesn't really mean there's no such proof. It's just that you haven't really identified that. Okay? I'll put it down, and then we should be done with this discussion for now. So for the, let me just put a divider over here. Okay, for the theorem proving, no state explosion concern. Okay. Challenge is to prove the theorem. The challenge is to discharge. And do you guys remember proof obligation, right? That's something we talk about. We have so many different proof obligations. How to prove invariant establishment, invariant preservation. What else? This one, also very important one. Starting with D. Deadlock freedom. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm pretty sure you know. Okay, just remind. 1 year, I know. It's been a long time. It's been a long, long time, I know. Okay, so that's a very initial sketch about model checking versus theorem proving. Keep that in mind, and I'm going to release the recording. Just make sure you take that notes and understand that. If your future employer know that you know the distinction between these two, I think they'll be impressed, right? I think that's nice. Good, let me go back to the syllabus. Don't worry, I'm going to release everything, other notes as well. Right, so the course description, you can definitely read it, but just the bottom line, we're going to basically do the same thing. We want to do formal verification of your system, but we are taking a fundamentally different approach, which is model checking. Okay? And for the course learning outcomes, don't worry, we're going to get there as we go through the course. No point to talk about it just now. Okay? Grading scheme. Okay, you might be waiting for that. Let's take a look. So we got, yeah, you saw that already, right? Okay, yeah, okay. You know, I should really hide it, you know, somehow I should really hide this one. And then you might be asking, oh, what's the remaining 50%? I said, oh yeah, it's the exam, right, by the way. Okay, let's talk about it, I know. The lab submission, 10%, 2.5 each. You can get it very easily by submitting your best attempt, get it. And also, class attendance will be 5% bonus on top. Hopefully you'll get it too, okay? And there will be 2 programming tests over here and 20%, 10% each. So I put in quote, it's not like a programming in Java, but once you get to the lab 1, you get a feel about what does it really mean to play with the IDE of TLA+. You're going to develop some algorithm, which they call, and also you're going to write some property for checking and etc. Okay. And there will be 2 written tests, also 10% each, 20% in total. And the written test is going to be multiple choice mostly. If there's going to be any written part about the written test, I'll let you know beforehand. Okay? And the written test is going to also take place in the Williams Small Center. So all of them, all of these, are going to take place in the Williams Small Center during the class time. Okay? And for tentatively, I am not exactly sure just yet. For written test, you will get roughly about 30 minutes. And for the programming test, roughly about 15 minutes. For now, I could only reserve the Williams Small Center for about 15 minutes. I will see if I can extend it a bit. But if I really cannot, we got to go with the constraint. In that case, I'll make sure it's suitable, you know, for you to complete. Right? Okay, there we go. What's left? Exam. Cumulative is going to cover everything. Of course, not the syllabus, right? Everything like an introduction that we're going to talk about. And also, we're going to do a little bit math review. We're going to do model checking, logic, you know, etc. So everything. Okay? So knowing that it's going to be a 50% over here, so please try to do a constant review. Ideally, on a weekly basis, and drop by my office hour to ask questions. At least, try not to only study all the materials just before the written test. We only got 2 written tests. You don't want to cram the information. That's my suggestion. Okay, try your best. I know you're busy, so I'm making a suggestion. You try your best. And I am a firm believer. I know some of my colleagues don't really believe in this. They prefer like a much lighter exam and try to distribute the weights. That's okay. I do respect your opinion, but for me, I think having a cumulative and substantial exam is really the best way for us to assess how well you can put everything together. And one thing we can definitely discuss, I'm open to the discussion. Maybe let's do that maybe a little bit towards the end of the semester. Whether or not we can allow you to have a quick sheets, like a data sheets. Did you guys bring the data sheets last winter? Yes. You did, right? Okay, then most likely I can keep that. No problem, that's not a problem. Then if that's the case, we can keep that, okay? Data sheets. Okay, good. Yeah, for the exam, yeah, you know that it's going to be 50%, so please. I know on the one hand, if you didn't do so well before the exam, that will be your lifesaver, of course, symmetrically. If you did pretty well, but didn't really do so well on the exam, that can also, yeah. Anyway, we'll see. Go ahead.
Is there any flexibility
yeah.
in this marking scheme? Well, like, is there a way we can still have substantial exam while maybe not being 50%? Is this something you're open to? Like, I personally am not a good exam writer. I don't know about everyone else, but I would prefer 40%.
Yeah, you know, it would be, yeah. Let me say no for now. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm just being honest to you. If I say I'll think about it, then we might just both forget, and then we'll still keep the 50%, right? So how about this? I understand that the 50% is very heavy. Actually, if you guys, I believe if you look at the syllabus for last year, the exam was also 50%, right? Okay, so it's not really something new. Let's have some conversation. I think I'll keep the 50%. However, I will try to see if I can give you guys more hints. I mean, very explicit hints about the exam. That might help you. Okay? That's my promise. Okay? It's recorded. You can hold me responsible for that. I'm going to give you some explicit hints about the exam. Okay? Good. Yeah, it's basically like a drop-in, maybe some test with the lowest mark. Yeah, of course, of course. You know what? That one there, how about this? The same answer, I would say no for now. But, this one is a little bit, I think this one is, I don't want to give you much hope, but it's more possible, okay? Let me revisit this. I'll put it down explicitly because somehow, if you simply drop the lowest mark from the test or shift the weights, in some way we are not really altering the scheme. But if I make the exam lighter, I'm altering the scheme, which I'm not allowed to do. Hopefully you see the difference. Revisit. Let's say after drop deadline. I know this will be your final course for most of you, actually for all of you, right? You guys are graduating. I don't think you guys want to drop. But let's discuss around that time whether we want to drop maybe some test. Let's discuss, okay? That one I'm definitely open to discussion, no problem, okay? You have my word. Yeah, completely understandable. Yeah, guys, I think for these 40%, I can be a little bit more open. Yeah, for sure. I know the exam was already pretty heavy, right? Good. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. For expected weekly workload, it's really cliche. It's basically set by the lesson. So between 9 to 13.5 hours. But you guys are graduating. You know what's the best way for you to study. So I'm not going to trouble you with that. Okay. But I just hope that maybe some of you will really find the TLA plus tool fascinating. You might just spend more time on that. I'm not kidding. You might just like the tool. You might. We'll see. And, so here for 13, there's something new to me. Since I didn't hear that about it before. Have you guys heard about the so-called 50% rule? 50% rule goes like this. So it doesn't matter how well or how badly you do before the exam. if you fail the exam, even if your total roll marks is a passing mark, you failed the course. Have you heard about it before? Great. Don't worry, we're not going to do it here. I'm just trying to mention it to you because some student asked me in 2011, right? So I said, oh, really? Okay, so that's new to me. So don't worry, no 50% rule. So I think the exam itself is already pretty heavy. So I think if you pass the exam, of course, well, I wouldn't say of course you will pass the course. Very likely you'll pass the course. Also, if you fail that, maybe just by some very slight margin, you can still pass the course. Anyway, the only thing I will look at will be the weighted sum. That's all I will look at. I'll write it down explicitly, just in case you're panicking. No 50% rule. Okay. Only between you and me. Actually, I am not even sure if the 50% rule is really allowed by the university. To be honest with you, I remember one senior colleague mentioned to me before, you are not allowed to judge a student whether they should pass a course or not just by a single assessment. Of course, unless that single assessment is 100%, unless. Actually, I don't mind making the exam 100%, if you guys prefer. That one, I'll be very open for discussion right away. No, you guys don't want to do that. Yeah. You know, that not only put pressure on you, but also put pressure on me. I also need to make sure not everybody can just pass, right, the exam. Whoa, sorry, I didn't mean that. Okay, yeah. No. 100% exam is too much. Too much. Go ahead, please.
So for the in-class lectures,
Yep.
3342,
Yep.
like YouTube videos we watch in an in-class.
Yes.
Is that going to be the same case here?
Okay, so here when I say in-class lecture, you can think about we are now pretty much like a pre-COVID, right? So you guys come to the class, listen to the lecture. I will still make the recording available to you just in case you want to review certain parts. That's really for your benefits. And for your lab, you got 4 labs. So for some of them, I might give you guys, actually for all of them, I'll give you guys some tutorial video. I'll try to restrict its length, hopefully about 1 hour. So usually you'll be given 2 weeks or so to complete a lab. You can plan to maybe spend about 1 hour to 2 watching a tutorial video, make sure you got all the concept, and then you spend maybe another 1 hour or so to complete the exercise. Yeah, that'll be the plan. Yeah. Yeah, the lecture will be recorded. Of course, I gotta say, I definitely try my best to record. I have done this since forever, since I ever joined York back in 2017. It never failed. But who knows? You guys might be lucky if I really fail to record it just in a single lecture, right? But let's not worry. I don't think it's going to fail. Okay. And actually, I listened to the sound quality. It's actually pretty good. Okay. Well, just for what it's worth. Alrighty. Attendance. Okay. Really important, guys. This is really for your benefits. Okay. So I thought to myself, rather than just including it as part of your grading scheme, so in some way I'm punishing you for not coming to my class, right? If I say 5% will be participation, I thought maybe let's do it the other way. So number one, you wouldn't be punished in any way for the marks for not coming to my class. That's okay if that's your choice. If you don't think you need that bonus, no problem. On the other hand, if you really want to get this bonus, here is how it's going to work. On Thursday, we're going to do a trial attendance check. I'll show you how you can do it. Okay, just on Thursday, it's unofficial, and hopefully everybody can just make it set it up on the iClicker and make it work. And then starting from next Tuesday, I will take attendance sporadically, meaning that I don't necessarily take it every time. I'll take it sometimes on Tuesday, sometimes on Thursday, sometimes both. Well, in some weeks I don't take. It depends. Okay, so don't take chance, just come. And then, okay, here will be the scheme. I'll let you read the example. It's really straightforward. The idea will be, if I take this many times for the attendance, if you count to 90% or more, then you get 5% bonus. So that means you are allowed to miss about 10% of the class, and you can still get the highest bonus. Hopefully that will accommodate in case you don't really feel very well on that particular evening or for whatever reason. Hopefully that can accommodate. Go ahead, please. No, per person. So that's why you need to install the iClicker. I'll talk about it. It's very important. Yes, per person. And please don't try to take attendance for your friend. I don't think that's possible. Anyway, don't do it. It's not fair to you. Okay, and that's the scheme. And what should you guys do? Okay, very straightforward. Wouldn't take you much longer. Please go to this site over here. That's a quick start guide. And please make sure you go to this section here. Courses not using E-class integration. We don't use E-class. The first section is called this, with E-class integration. Don't go to that section. Okay? So go to that section there. And then I think you will have to install the app and also set up some account. And one thing very important, please make sure you supply a valid student number and also your my.yorku.ca email, because at the end of the term, I'm going to export your attendance record as a spreadsheet. And then I'm going to use a script, which I already wrote, to actually process. If you got the invalid student ID, then you wouldn't recognize. So that would be unfair to you. Please make sure. Valid student ID and valid my.yorku.ca email. And this is what you're going to search for. Just search for 4315. I think that should be a single hit. And then search for mission critical system. Click on that. Add it. And then we're going to see exactly how that works. It will be very straightforward. So guys, I'm going to make it clear to you. And so our class is going to start 6:30 p.m. We'll end at 7:50 p.m. I'll give you guys some buffer. Let's say 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I can take attendance anytime over here. Okay? And every time I take attendance, I will take maybe about 2 to 3 minutes. I'll make sure everybody's okay. And then I'll say, any technical issue, say it now. If no, once I end the poll, that's it. Please don't come to me later and say, I need to be taking attendance for whatever reason. So it'll be very important for you to do that. But I'll make it very, very precise and clear to you. All right? And that's something we can do. And I think typically after the attendance check, for example, I'll let everybody to also take some break. I think it's nice. It's pretty late, and then just in case you feel like sleeping. Okay, so you can take a break. Not too long, 2 minutes. Okay. Oh, one more thing. When you actually launch the app, you might actually get some prompt like this. Allow iClicker to use your location. Please make sure it allows. Because the setup I do on the iClicker is you have to within maybe like 30 meters or so from me, my computer, to take attendance. So if you do it from home, no, you cannot do it. Well, of course, unless you live next door. In that case, of course, you can take it. But I don't think that's the case. Alrighty, that's attendance check, guys. Get it 5%. I can tell you one more thing, also for your information. When I look at you guys' marks at the end of the semester, I will try to sort you guys from the top to the bottom, and then for all of you who are somehow close to some cutoff, I'm not saying just D, maybe for all of you close to maybe C or B or A plus. What do I look at to see if I should bump you up? I might look at maybe how you did. Maybe you didn't do so well in the exam, but I will look at how did they do in the programming test? How did they do for the written test? And now I have one more column to check. Did they come to my class? If you come to my class more often, and also if I remember you, I might give you some advantage. I'm telling you explicitly. Okay? I know it's subjective, but that's a little bit power I can have. Okay? Hopefully that's fair, right? Come to my class, engage, and then hopefully that will help you. There we go. All right, we're almost there. And then we'll take a short break, and then we'll talk about introduction. And the next one will be about the semester calendar. Okay, let's talk about it. Oh, you know what? I will show you how you can get a more zoom-in version. If you go to the page for the lecture, I'll show to you. Yeah, you can see there is a semester calendar. And that's the version here. Right? If for whatever reason I really need to change it, I'll also let you know explicitly. But I think it's pretty much fixed. Okay? Let's talk about it. Okay, so how do we understand the calendar here? Should be very straightforward. We are here today lecture 1, and then there will be 24 lectures in total. Right? Our last class will be April 6th. But usually winter semester goes by even more quickly. So I think we'll get there very soon. Okay. And then there will be 2 written tests, also 2 programming tests. The reason I put them on a Tuesday is because it's going to take place during your Tuesday class time. Okay, I'll write it down here. It's going to take place during the Tuesday class time. Most likely within small center. Yes? Oh, good question. So let's say we take it doesn't matter written test or programming test. After you guys take the test, you're free. You can go. Okay? You don't need to stay because I'll go home too. So don't stay. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. I think this course, to be very honest with you, I think Frank is usually the instructor teaching this course. I'm pretty sure he did a very good job. But somehow I wouldn't prefer to teach in the way he has organized the course. I look at the eClass site, very fantastic organization, but I just prefer my own way. So I'm going to be creating all the materials fresh for you guys. So that means sometimes I may be slightly delayed or may not be as efficient in producing all the new slides. So that's why I thought we'll try to go over the most important concept and example together with you. I'll make sure you learn something for the course. That's something I can guarantee. Okay? So we don't need any makeup lecture, okay? Unless you guys got any complaint. Good. Yes.
I think Frank needs to have like a project for this course.
Oh. Yeah, I think, So I think that for this course over here, to be honest with you, I think in order for you to really do your projects, especially in model checking, you ought to have some very solid knowledge first before you can do that. You know, no disrespect. I think you guys are still in the learning phase about the temporal logic and also model checking. I think it would be better for your learning if you try to go with a more old school style, like a written test and programming test. That's my view. Having projects may be more suitable for like a summer research program once you have learned the knowledge. For example, you might just decide to do a side project yourself using TLA Plus in the summer. Maybe. Just for you guys' information, for what it's worth. I also teach another course, 4302, Compilers and Interpreters. Okay? It's not really for the required for SE or CS. It's only an elective course. Basically, compiler can really translate from one thing into the other. So one of the projects I did right before the pandemic, it was back in winter 2020. What I asked my student to do was, I'll sketch for you, to give you some idea for your side projects, for what it's worth. I'll put it here. I was thinking this way. The side project could be this. You design a new language yourself. Do you guys remember something called context-free grammar? Yeah, context-free grammar. Oh, if you didn't take 2001, maybe you wouldn't know it. Context-free grammar is actually a way to specify grammar for a programming language. Every programming language you know about, C, Java, Python, they have their own grammar. Of course, the grammar for a programming language is much less sophisticated as a human grammar, of course. But anyway, so my student had to design a new language. And the new language can include all the programming features they like. They can combine some features from Python. They can draw some features from Java. They can also draw some feature from C, like a hybrid. Okay? New language they design. And then they have to somehow have a tool. Okay, just for your information, it's called Antler 4. For those of you who are really interested in this side project, you can take a look at my website, my lecture site. Go to 4302, right? You can go to the fall 2022 version. Go there, and there's a tutorial link for Antler 4, which I created. Okay? And then they're going to use the Antler 4 to compile and translate this new language into TLA+. You might be asking, so what? Wow, there's a great benefit for that. If you only have this language over here, whatever program you write, how do you verify that it's correct formally? Not really. But if you're able to somehow translate this language into the TLA plus, that's semantically equivalence. You will be able to fit this into the tool for model checking. That's a big deal, okay? Anyway, and then for some model checking. Yeah, for those of you who might be interested in doing this side project yourself, feel free to ask me. I can just give you a little bit more guidance. I think that'll be also nice to put on your CV, okay? It's only up to you. Okay, so let me go back to the syllabus. So we got written tests over here, and also for the programming test. So guys, don't panic. I'm going to give you at least 1 week in advance guidance about exactly what you need to study, and also what will be the format for the test. And the first one is coming on February 14th, which happens to be Valentine's Day. I didn't really plan it, sorry. Just happened to be. Okay. And we got lab 1. It will be released next week. Okay? And then you will be given 2 weeks to do it. After that, we'll give you lab number 2. After that, it's tentative. So guys, please, just in case I really have to change the release date, just forgive me. I'll try to do that as little as possible. But in case I do it, I'll still make sure you got enough time just for your lab. That's one I can guarantee. Okay, lab 1 and lab 2. And then you will get your written test number 1. And then nothing for you to submit during the reading week. And then after that, you get lab 3 and lab 4. About the coverage, okay? Very reasonable. Let's say for written test 1 over here, right? So I wouldn't cover lecture 10, maybe too rush. So I'll cover from lecture 1 to lecture 9, okay? And then for your written test number 2, also not this, and you will go all the way from possibly lecture 10 to over here. But I will confirm before the test. And for your programming test 1, it's going to cover lab 1 and lab 2, okay? And for your programming test 2, it's going to cover lab 3 and lab 4, okay? Of course, for each lab, I'll also give you the solution. Yeah. Yes? Lab 3 over here. I cannot really promise I will definitely do it. How about this? Maybe there may be some preparation work you can do in the reading week. May not be the whole lab, but at least something you can do in the reading week. How about that? Okay, I can make some compromise, no problem. Promise. Release some preparation materials for lab number 3. I can do that, okay? No problem. Of course, that will be optional. If you guys want to spare some time for that preparation material during the reading week, you can do that. Reduce your work later. Otherwise, if you really want to wait until the full lab is released, you can do that then. I'll give you the choice, okay? Okay, guys, any question about the calendar? Anything that's not clear to you? Good. And then the coverage I already talked about for the weekly schedule. Okay, as I said, there's no lab for week 1 this week, nothing. And then, one more thing I definitely need to mention. For your written test, okay, it's so important. I'll also remind you a little bit later when it gets closer to the test. I'll use a different color. So for both of your written tests over here, because they will take place over the E class, okay, over here, E class. So that means you have to make sure the dual mobile work for you. Okay, otherwise you'll be wasting time when the tests start. Okay, I'll definitely remind you. But if you can do something about it now, why not? Question? Yeah. Yeah, for those of you who took a test like 3342 with me last year, it's going to be similar. Yes. But for those of you who didn't take the test with me, you can ask around, or you can see the example question later. Yeah. Yes?
Are you going to pick like one specific model for 3342 as well? Like you just did the rich controller, so is it going to be the
Oh, you mean for the labs, right?
No, just like the general idea, like we did the chapter.
Oh, okay, sure. I think I think the bridge controller itself is very nice to really talk about refinements. We can get initial model M0 all the way to M3, for example. But I think for this course, except for lab 1, which I just want to have something you learned about before, it'll be quite easy for you to brush up. But I think starting from lab 2, 3, and 4, we're going to see something a little bit different. We'll see what's really natural for the model checker to really check, but not event B. Yeah, you're going to see different examples for sure. It's more like an algorithm. I'm not sure if you guys heard about Peterson algorithm back in maybe in the OS course. It's a mutual exclusion algorithm. I think that's something I plan to do. It's quite a sophisticated one. I'll try to see if it's really too much of a tutorial video to record. That'll be too much for you guys, also too much for myself. Maybe I'll cover that in the lecture. Might be a nice case study to go over. You can also learn. We'll see. Okay. But you'll definitely see something a little bit different from 3342 in terms of the case studies, for sure. Yes. Yes, something like that. Yes, exactly. But maybe maybe not exactly what you learned. Could be a variance. Yeah, that's something I will show to you. Guys, one thing to also notice, okay? In 3342, the logic that we review was more like a predicate logic or propositional logic, right? You're going to learn about something new. Think about, oh, that's another thing I can definitely compare the two courses. I think it's really good. I definitely should mention that. The logic covered in 3342. Okay, just make sure I'm not in the iPad. Okay, we did proposition and also predicates. And something I didn't quite mention before. So this kind of logic is called untimed, which means the notion of time is not there. But in this course, in order to do model checking, we can do something relative to the notion of time. That's something we'll definitely see, don't worry. Okay, but I'm just going to mention that now. 4315. We still have this proposition and predicates, so I think it might be worth for us to maybe review them briefly, if you don't mind. I know it's been a year. Have you guys ever looked into predicates anymore after 3342? Did you get a chance in other courses? Then let's review, okay? I do it every day. Seriously? Good. Well, even better than I do. I haven't touched predicate actually since 3342, actually. Yeah. My other courses don't really require that formal. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. Yeah, so definitely proposition and predicate, but there is something called temporal logic. Oh, sorry. And temporal simply means there is a relative notion of time. I will explain precisely what it is when we get there, don't worry. Relative notion of time. I'll give you some intuition. In 3342, if we want to verify an invariant property, we're going to say for every possible system execution, this property should be the case because it's a safety property, right? But temporal property goes in the following favor. You can say something like, eventually, a property P holds. For example, you may want to say, eventually, the counter value reaches 0, as opposed to the counter value stays 0 for every possible state, eventually. So there's a relative notion of time. So as long as eventually you reach that, that's fine. Okay? There's some more fun temporal logic. You say infinitely often. P holds. That means maybe P holds on this particular state, and then at some point later, P holds again, and the pattern simply keep going for infinitely often. Okay, we're going to see the precise way to formulate it. Okay, And for that, we definitely need to review the universal and existential quantifiers, because we need that to define this extension here. And more to it, and this will definitely be something you may want to put on your cheat sheets for your exam. Okay, I'm giving you some hints already. There'll be two versions, or two flavors of the temporal logic. One is called LTL, the other one is called CTL. If you have no idea, that's okay. We're going to make sure we cover that. And by the end of the course, you definitely should know the difference between LTL and CTL. Okay, go ahead, please. Temporal logic. Okay, since you brought it up, why don't we say that? Okay. LTL, linear temporal logic. Want to take a guess? Not concurrent. Not circular. You know what? Oh, gee. I forgot the precise, you know what? It's not branching. Guys, I beg your pardon. It's embarrassing. I do apologize. I don't know why. It just didn't come to my mind. Oh, computational tree logic. There we go. Good. Now we all know at least what it stands for. I'm going to write it down. Computation tree. Yeah, it doesn't really stand for that. Sorry about that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Guys, I do apologize. I should know, of course. But I don't take exam. So that's fine. I write exam, so in which case I can look it up, right? Computation tree. Logic. And we're going to have lots of fun dealing with this. Lots of fun. We'll get there. Okay? Alrighty. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I should really talk about in the syllabus. Okay, and, okay, final thing I want to mention here. For your lecture topics, yeah, so LTL, CTL, and, there's another fun thing we're going to do for sure in this course, okay? We're going to do something called program verification, which is also related to model checking in some way. And have you guys heard about Hoare logic?
Yes.
Oh, where?
Well, the guy, Tony Hoare, he's famous. He made a poster exception. And a lot of
Wow.
when they introduce him, they always say he has his own logic.
Wow.
We really learned success.
Yes. Wow, interesting. Where did you hear about his name? In which course?
He's famous computer science.
He's very famous. Okay, good.
He apologized for the little pointer exception.
Yes, exactly. It's a 1 million mistake. Yeah. Okay, Hoare. Okay. He is. By the way, do you guys know he's he won the Turing Award, which is like a Nobel Prize award in computer science. Do you guys know what he studied for undergrad? You wouldn't believe. Close. That was a little far. Not dance. Yeah. Classic. That's what he studied. Something maybe that has some philosophy in it. I'm not exactly sure, but it's classic that he studied. And he definitely invented a null pointer. Okay, but it's so-called a 1 million mistake. We wouldn't cover that, but feel free to look it up. And there's another thing you guys learned, which is also invented by him. You guys know what? Starting with Q. Quicksort. Good. Absolutely. Good. And a third thing, which may be less known, is called a Hoare triple. Triple. Something like this. I'll show it to you. Hoare triple. Okay, very quickly, guys. Don't worry, we'll get to there. Okay, at some point. This will be your algorithm in programming statements. This will be your precondition. This will be your postcondition. Having this formal specification of your program, how do you prove that your program is correct? especially if your program involves loops. And we're going to make the looping variant that you guys maybe got some prior exposure to. Also, we're going to reinforce a little bit in this course too. Yes?
You taught the 11 years ago,
2 years ago. Wow.
that's a long time.
Yeah, I know. You mean, yeah? Did you take a course with me before?
Yeah, it was
Oh, IFO course. Yes, yes, indeed. Anyone else who took an IFO course with me? Oh, good for you guys. I think you guys got some very slight advantage. But it's 2 years ago, guys. Don't worry. It's 2 years ago, right? Yeah. Yeah, in the previous version of 3311, yeah, we normally cover in the last bit, the program verification. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to cover that in principle. The principal knowledge will be the same, but we'll try to integrate this knowledge into the TLA Plus, so you guys get more connection there. All right? Wow, guys, I know we are running out of time, right? Only about 7 minutes. Okay, let me finish the syllabus, everything. I'll leave the introduction to Thursday. Give me 2 minutes. I can let you go, hopefully earlier today. Any question about course syllabus, please? Oh, the office hour. You know what? I wouldn't really post that on my website per se, but I can remind you about it. It's going to be 3:30 to 4:30, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you can see me tomorrow if you want to. Either come to my office or Zoom, either way. Yes?
So is the Portugal on this course?
Yes, Portugal is going to be on this course. Yes, we're going to talk about it. No quick sort. Potentially, we can try let you program the quick sort in TLA Plus. Yeah, maybe something like that. It'll be fun, right? Anyway, we'll see. Yes, please.
Is there going to be anything similar to the Q&A that we did in 3342?
Oh, yeah. So guys, yeah, bear with me. So the question was, is there going to be any optional Q&A session over Zoom? Maybe not, I would say for now, because what we had before was like a remote delivery. So that's why we got pre-recorded lecture, so we got Q&A. But since now we got in-person lecture, but this is what I can promise. Okay, I think since, as I said before, I'm going to teach the course maybe in a very different way from the professor before. Nothing wrong or right, but I think I'll try to give you guys more chance to really solve examples together in the lecture. I can definitely bring it. But if you really find a need to really go over some extra example, I can schedule some Q&A. If you guys feel the need, let me know. Otherwise, assume you're fine. Okay, let me know. All right, almost done. Bear with me. If you need accommodation, please let me know. And I will just, this slide here, rather easy. So basically, for this course, we're going to keep mentioning about you want to think abstractly. Think in terms of model rather than code. That's something to keep in mind. And I think what you guys will learn from this course, hopefully that will also help your job interview later, especially know about model checking versus theorem proving, also temporal logic, also program verification. These are very practical knowledge for you, okay, beyond the course. Guys, any question? So nice to see many of you again, and then I'm going to see you on Thursday. Today, I'll let you know, go earlier. Just one question, please.
Yes, from your perspective, would you say that this is more mathematically intensive than 3342?
I would say this, you know what, very good question. I would say it's still mathematics intensive, but I think the math you're going to encounter will be of different flavor, will be different. We'll see. Guys, take care. I will see you on Thursday.